How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a theory. So today we're going to be having a look at where the John Martin Doctor actually fits into the Doctor's timeline. It's not going to be like where the John Hurt Doctor has a complete set part. It's more open to interpretation. So we're going to have a look at my theory and where I sparked my theory from. So in this, basically the Ruth Doctor was part of the Timeless Child story arc, but we didn't actually get an answer. Now, I thought of two ways because I had to get a bit creative with it, and the two things I come up with was the Season 6B theory and the pre-Hartnell theory. So, the pre-Hartnell theory, we'll touch on now. Right away I thought, no, it cannot be this, because of one reason and one reason alone. The police box TARDIS. What are the chances of the first Doctor, William Hartnell, going to the same place that he has already been as a previous form of himself and not remembering? To me, that just wouldn't work, so I said that wasn't working. But now we've got the Season 6B theory, which I had a look into. I did a bit of research, hence why I've got the book here. And I actually believe it's something along these lines. So for Season 6B, we're looking from the classic Who series, not the series from 2011, which I'm familiar with. The classic series, which run from August 1968 to June 1969. So obviously I've had to do a bit of research because, as we all know here, I'm a modern Who fan, not a classic Who fan. And this was in the Second Doctor era. So basically this whole season ends with War Games, the episode. And in this, the Second Doctor ends up getting pulled up by the Time Lords and punished for breaking the laws of interference. And the Time Lords basically said, yes, you have broken our laws, you will be punished. And the punishment that they took in place was basically to punish him by taking away his companions and wiping their memory, as well as the Doctor's adventures with them. So they couldn't remember anything of the Doctor or anything that they have done. So that was the first thing which I wanted to remember, the fact that they would wipe the memories of the companions. The second thing that they did to the Doctor as well was exile the Second Doctor to Earth and wipe his memories of using the TARDIS, which is a key thing. He had his memories wiped to a certain degree, and he was forced to change his appearance. Now, obviously, the series finished with the Doctor in that spiral, and the new series started with Pertwee falling out of the TARDIS. We didn't actually see this regeneration happen. So basically there was a lot of comics throughout the time, and they used to run alongside with Doctor Who. But between series 6 and 7 there was a 6-month gap, which was the longest gap at that point. But the comics didn't have a new Doctor to use in this series. So what would they do? They used the Second Doctor, sent him to Earth, and he was awaiting his regeneration. So what they did, basically they knew who would be the new Doctor, but they didn't know what his appearance would be on the screen. They didn't know his costumes. So they just kept with what they knew and had him awaiting his regeneration. And that is the origins of Season 6B right there. Because the Doctor had 5 more series in the comics. So there was a long period before the Doctor regenerated in the comics, which people believe to be canon. So that was the origins of the Series 6B. But then there was some more looking into it, which I did. Because in Season 21, The Two Doctors, which was a 6th Doctor story, the Second Doctor was there, but it left people questioning where was this based in his timeline. Because the Second Doctor was with an aged Jamie, who was working for the Time Lords for hires. Now, previously in the War Games, Jamie had had his memory wiped, because he was one of the Doctor's companions. But he had his memory back at this point. but they were working for hire for the Time Lords. Then in the Three Doctors, the special, the second Doctor was doing work for the Time Lords once again. Almost as if he was on hire from them. And then in the Five Doctors, another special, the illusion that he saw, the second Doctor, was of Zoe and Jamie, and the Doctor responded saying basically he knew that their memories were lost because of the Time Lords. How would the Doctor know that if he was forced to regenerate right after that was told to him? This feeds into Series 6B. So there's a few key things with that, because that is basically a quick fire way of Series 6B. There is more in-depth ways to do it. If you want to have a look, you can find videos on YouTube. But that is basically the quick way which I've done my research into it. There's some key things in there which correlate to Ruth. Ruth worked for the Time Lords on hire. So did the second Doctor on 2 separate occasions during the Three Doctors special and the Series 21 story, Two Doctors. The TARDIS exterior was very similar. I've saw photos of the second Doctor TARDIS. I actually have one in figure form, and obviously I have seen the Ruth Doctor's TARDIS. They do look very similar. The Time Lords can wipe the memories of the companions and the Doctor. This is the third thing. It's been confirmed that the Time Lords wiped the memory of the second Doctor with him remembering how to fly the TARDIS, and they also wiped the memory of the Doctor, as we know the Doctor, to forget about the Ruth Doctor. And the fourth thing for me, which is quite important, is that we didn't see the regeneration from Troughton into Pertwee. That wasn't seen on TV ever. There isn't a clip of it. So I've done a bit of my, however you think it is, my digging, my looking in, my creativity, and I've come up with my own theory which correlates to Series 6B but takes a different spin on it. And now, you saw my theory about the 10th Doctor coming back as David Tennant, and he has, but it wasn't how I planned it and no one actually knows how it is. But I think this works. Same as my old theory did, but that was blew out the water. So my theory goes like this. The second Doctor did work for the Time Lords on hire, and he continued to work on hire for a prolonged period of time before he was exiled. But what happened was he did it to save himself from being regenerated. Well, in this, he got hurt. I'm presuming it was something to do with Swarm and Azula, because they seemed to know the Doctor and the Doctor didn't know them. So I think that happened, and then he regenerated into the Ruth Doctor. So then she kept working for the Time Lords for a long period of time until the Time Lords realised that she was too dangerous. And at that point they ended up getting the Judoon involved to arrest the Doctor for crimes which she hadn't actually done, ending in the fugitive of the Judoon storyline. Then, once they actually managed to get hold of the Doctor and they captured the Doctor, they wiped her memories back to the end of War Games. So the Doctor actually can't remember this bit of her working. And they wiped everything away from her from memorising it. And in this point as well, what they decided to do was go back to the punishments they originally said. Exile the Doctor to Earth. Make sure they forget the knowledge of flying the TARDIS and force another regeneration, like we saw with the Master doing a forced regeneration into Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. Therefore, we didn't see the regeneration because the regeneration was forced by the Time Lords without it actually making sense. What do you guys think? Could that be a decent theory? Could that be a terrible theory? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week for some more Doctor Who content. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Empire Man. It's Doctor Who, the 10th Doctor.